What's up, everybody? It's Conger Live. We're back again with another DC Worlds Collide video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the status effects and main attributes for the characters and which characters have what and how they come into play. Hopefully this is very informative for you guys. Did a lot of research with that. Got a lot of help with some screenshots from my guild leader call out, so thank you once again for giving me the screenshots of the things I don't have, because I don't have all the characters unlocked yet. Like always, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Of course, ninja kick that like button, and let's get into it. You are now watching Conger Live, part of the DC Worlds Collide content creator program. Okay, so first off, I wanted to come into the character screen. We're just at the lab robot because base level, basically you're going to see 0 or very, very low stats over here. We have your hit points, you have your defense, you have your attack, and you have your speed as your base attributes. But you can click this info button, right? So it kind of breaks down these hit point bonus, defense bonus, attack bonus. Those comes from places like your collection items and artifacts, things like that. But you'll see he has 0 all the way around. But we're just going to go through these. So crit is your critical hit rate. This is the chance of a character dealing a critical hit when attacking. Pretty self-explanatory. The critical resist is the crit hit resistance, chance of the character resisting critical hits when taking damage. So let's say this was 10%. 10% of the time when a crit would come in, the crit wouldn't hit. Not a huge stat, but could be something if we have a way of building into it in the future. I think some gears can let you get into crit resistance. It might be useful, especially against crit teams. Crit hit damage affects the damage multiplier when the character lands a critical hit. When attacking, a larger value means greater critical hit damage, right? Now it says 0 here, but I think critical hit base is 150%. Don't quote me on that. So that's going to be the percentage above the guaranteed, I guess, 50% bonus. But I'm not 100% on that, but that's what it is in most games. Damage application is proportional increase to damage dealt. So this is after damage is calculated. Then this percentage will be added on top. Damage reduction, proportional decrease of damage taken. So once the damage is calculated, this is the last thing that goes in to reduce the amount of damage. Now these probably have caps. Like we know crit has an 80% cap on Wonder Woman. Because otherwise you could effectively not do any damage. And they want you to still be able to do damage. You're never going to have a complete whiff. Your armor break is your defense break. It's the value of defense that is ignored when attacking. And your reflect is the percentage of damage taken that is reflected then at the attacker. So say you take 100,000 damage, you have 10% reflect, you're going to do 10,000 damage back. That's simple math for you. Block rate is the chance of a character blocking damage from incoming attacks. So this is the chance of blocking damage. Now the block break is chance of character penetrating a block when damaged. Now the block amount, this is how much of the damage is blocked if a block occurs. So if you have a block, then your block amount is going to basically reduce that damage, much like damage reduction, after it's been calculated. The heal shield crit, this is not like regular crit, it's a heal shield crit. The chance of defensive crit when casting heals and shields. A defensive crit is similar to crit, it enhances the heals and the shields. So if you get a crit, you get extra heals or extra shields. And the heal shield bonus is the additional percentage bonus effect when the character casts a heal shield. Okay, but the crit rate, I don't see a crit rate here. I mean, this is the crit rate for that, but we don't see a crit amount like crit damage. This is just a shield bonus. So maybe it's like that flat 50%. I'm not sure exactly what a crit percentage is. I'm guessing. And then lifesteal, percentage of damage that is dealt transformed into hit point recovery for self. As far as we know, Zatanna is the only one that gives that right now. It's definitely a really cool attribute to have. Okay, so those are the basic attributes, but we're going to take a look at the status effects. Okay, so I've created this chart with all the screenshots of all the status effects that I know exist in the game. One of these I had to create myself because They've told us what it is in Discord, and it was supposed to be available in the last update. It didn't come yet, so hopefully we'll see it, and I'm guessing as to what it looks like. That one is down here at the bottom called Exhaustion, right? That's from GL John, and it decreases damage from the next attack by 50%. So I took the damage reduction icon, put it into one of those red diamonds. It's a guess. That's why this text is slightly different. But moving up to start, we're going to start with the positive status effects, the buffs. Cloak blocks the next incoming attack, debuff, control status. So it's going to block any of the red or purple effects that you see here on the screen. You can have a max of up to 3 stacks. Who does this? Well, only 3 characters do this right now that we know of: Lex Luthor, Killer Frost, and Pandora. So it's a really, really useful ability. I think this is one of the reasons why Lex and Killer Frost are so freaking awesome. That's just speculation, but that's Cloak. Firm Stand increases block by 10%, which is a max of 15 stacks. So you can actually increase your block by 150%. Now when it says block, I think this is the block chance, not the block amount. I'm not 100%. So once you get above, because there's also other things that go into play. So even at 150% block, there's ways of bypassing it, I think. I'm not sure. But you're not going to completely negate all damage, even if you can get 15 stacks of Firm Stand. Characters that do Firm Stand are Clayface, Frankenstein, Red Robin. Most notably are the Flash and Nightwing. Next up is Frantic. Frantic increases your crit by 10%, is your crit rate, max of 15 stacks. Now I'm not sure if this, how this works when you have like the crit caps on some characters. Like we think Wonder Woman has an 80% crit cap. Although like when I've done like the digital universe and we get the buff where it gives you 100% crit, I'm definitely hitting crit 100% of the time. So I mean, if you can get 150% crit chance, like, yeah, awesome. Wonder Woman has Frantic, Zatanna, they're probably the most notable. Flash as well, Red Hood, Huntress, Harley Quinn, and even the support Amazon Soldier has Frantic. But let's be honest, you're never going to use her. Next up, Haste increases speed by 5%, which is a max of 8 stacks. So you can increase your speed by 40%. In a turn-based style game like this, speed can definitely be the difference between winning or losing a battle. Same with your turn meter. Haste is available with Kid Flash, Harley Quinn, and the 2 legendaries that have it are Superman and Flash. Next up is Recover. At the start of a turn, heals hit points equal to 25% of attack, max 15 stacks. So this is really nice that Recover is equal to the amount of attack you have. So the stronger attacker, the more they're going to recover. Now I'm not 100%, but I think it's actually the attack of the character that put the Recover out. So Constantine has Recover, Kid Flash has Recover, Captain Cold has Recover, and Clayface has Recover. So Constantine's Recover is probably going to be the strongest because he's an attacker. But that's also maybe why you might want to put an attack set as a 2 set on, say, Kid Flash to increase that Recover amount. Next up is Strong Attack. Strong Attack increases the attack by 8% and block break by 5%, max 15 stacks. Remember, the block break was your chance to get past the block if a block were to happen. So the Strong Attack is given out by Lex, Constantine, Zatanna, Harley Quinn, Flash, and Dr. Fate. So a lot of really good characters that can give some Strong Attack. I feel like I might have missed one on that list, but I don't think so. I went through, I combed pretty detailed. Okay, next up is Shelter. Shelter decreases the damage taken from the next attack by 50%. It's a max of 3 stacks, so it effectively halves the damage taken, which is really, really nice for your tanks. Your Shelter is given out by Constantine, Kid Flash, Black Canary, Frankenstein, Phantom Stranger, and Nightwing. Nightwing's probably the best epic tank in the game. Very, very nice. Notice most of those characters, I mean, Constantine and Kid Flash it makes sense for Kid Flash and the tanks like Frankenstein, Canary, Frankenstein, Stranger, Canary, but Constantine, that's kind of neat that he does that. Okay, next up, I don't have it listed here because even though there is an icon in the game for a shield, there is no description of it, and a lot of different people do different shields. What I noticed, and I could have overlooked, Lex, Green Lantern Jessica, Green Lantern Hal, Pandora, Phantom Stranger, are some characters that give shields. Shields basically just extra hit points, so to speak, but it's a separate bar, which is really nice. But next up, we do have Sturdy Armor. Sturdy Armor increases defense by 20% and crit resistance by 5% with a max of 15 stacks. So that increasing the defense and that crit resistance is very, very nice. Sturdy Armor is available with Bane, Phantom Stranger, Captain Cold, Kid Flash, Phantom Stranger. I think I said that already. Most notably, Flash. Did I say that? Oh my goodness. I'm all over the place. And also the Mercenary Tank. The Merc Tank does have this, but once again, like the other character that has one of these, you're not going to use them just because they have this skill. You're never going to use those green characters unless there's some sort of challenge they come out in the future where you have to. Other than, what is it, the Hero Trials? So, anyways, I digress. Next up is Vitality. Boosts energy by an additional 1 block after the end of a turn, max to 3 stacks. So this is really cool. The chair gives you Vitality. The Throne of Kondak. In fact, I think I may have overlooked some of the collection items for some sources on some of these. But Vitality is also available with Red Robin or Harley Quinn. Into the debuffs now. We're starting off with Armor Break. Armor Break decreases defense by 20% and crit resistance by 5%. So this is basically the opposite of Sturdy Armor. And you can get Armor Break from Zatanna, Grodd, Batman, Starfire, Green Lantern John, and Sinestro. Next up is Bleed. Bleed is after the end of the turn, takes physical damage equal to 20% of attack. If proportion of hit points is lower than 30%, the damage is doubled, max of 15 stacks. So Bleed really does more if you can get the characters low on their hit points, because it's going to double that from 20 to 40% basically. And quite a few characters bleed, but none of them are like amazing characters except for one. We have Raven, she's a great support. Robin, Two-Face, Catwoman, Killer Croc, Cheetah, and Deathstroke. So I could imagine people trying to put a bleed team together, but I just feel like there's better ways of utilizing some of those tunes than creating a specific bleed team. But if I did, it would be Raven, Robin, Two-Face, Deathstroke, and then give me a real tank like either Nightwing or Lex Luthor. Burn. People have asked about the Burn team. Burn detonates at 4 stacks, taking superpower damage equal to 60% of attack. So it's a much bigger damage than Bleed, which is nice, and it's guaranteed like all the time. Now it is superpower damage as opposed to physical damage, so depending on your enemies, maybe Bleed would be more effective, but I think Burn stronger in general, although you do need 4 stacks for it to trigger. Raven, Superboy, Starfire, Firestorm, Superman, Black Manta, and even one of those mercenary DPS characters gives a burn. You see them. He's always annoying when you're in the story, and he walks up with the flamethrower and burns you. Yeah. Now we have Decreased Healing. Now this one's in a darker screenshot color because this is only available right now from a collection item, and this is the Bat Cycle that does this. Bat Cycle's not an amazing collection item. It's the first collection item we all get. It's very nice to have some decreased healing on that front line early on, but it's not something you're going to really want to invest into, at least in my opinion. Don't invest into the Bat Cycle. Save your resources for the later collection items that you can get. But of course, with Unrestricted Arena and unlocking 3 slots, so you could have effectively up to 9 collection items, you're probably going to eventually end up using it somewhere. So, but just don't overinvest in that. Once again, I digress. Next up is Fear. Fear Knocks back on the action bar by 30% when adding and decreasing damage dealt by 15% afterwards. So when you add it, knock back the action bar, and then decreases damage by 15%. So they're not going to do as much damage if they do fear. Now, rolling back that action bar is another thing that's not really listed here other than in fear. But there are some other heroes that roll back the action meter. That's Flash and Grodd. Other than, of course, Sinestro and Raven that put out fear. There are a couple of the robots, one of the DPS and the support robots that also roll back meter, but once again, you're not going to use those guys. So, but figure it's worth mentioning. And next up is Frostbite. Deals superpower damage equal to 15% of attack for each stack of Frostbite. So it can get pretty big when added. And there's a max of 10 stacks. Quite a few people do Frostbite: Killer Frost, Green Arrow, Raven, Bizarro, Captain Cold, and Mr. Freeze. So it's nice. It's just a little extra superpower damage. Poison is the next big status effect that people have asked, oh, what about a poison team? Well, once again, it's not really the most effective team. There's only 3-4 heroes that do it. Technically 5, but we're not going to use the support mercenary just for poison. Poison is at the end of the turn, takes superpower damage equal to 20% of attack and decreases healing received by 10%. So that decreasing the healing received is nice. That's why poison is recommended on one of the Elseworld sins. But outside of Elseworld, I don't see looking at using poison much at all. Poison is Raven, Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, Penguin, and that support mercenary. Next up is Slow. Slow just decreases the speed by 5% with a max of 8 stacks. This is the opposite of Haste. Grodd, Two-Face, GL John, Red Robin, and Sinestro all slow your enemy. Weaken decreases attack by 8% and block break by 5%. So this is the opposite of strong attack. A lot of characters do weaken. Constantine, Grodd, Bizarro, GL John, Black Canary, The Question, Red Robin, Martian Manhunter, Dr. Fate, Sinestro, and Bane. So huge list of characters that weaken. Weaken is probably one of the most annoying in my opinion because I don't like you reducing my damage. I want to do more damage. Okay, next up is Chance, which is a unique text to Green Lantern John. Basic rate is 40%, and each type of debuff the damage dealer has adds an extra 5%. You can go read his kit. We did do a kit review on him when he was brand new as to what that does. Exhaustion is also unique to John. This is not physically in the game yet. It's part of his badge, I believe. But this is the description that the devs gave us. Decreased damage from the next attack by 50%. So he's going to put exhaustion on that person. It's going to half their damage. So much like Shelter, but as a debuff as opposed to a buff. All right, next we have the control effects. The control effects are these purple ones. There are only 3. These are very, 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 very powerful abilities. We have Freeze. Actions cannot be taken. Decreases speed by 25%. The only person that I saw when I went through this that does Freeze is Bizarro. It's his ultimate that does that. Freeze is really cool. I would love to see more Freeze out there. Of course, Mr. Freeze freezes himself, but it's not the same as Freeze because it's a defensive move, and he does not. I don't think he decreases his speed, but if he does, that's fine. He's meant to sit there and tank. Next up is Silence. We got quite a few heroes that silence. It's unable to cast advanced attacks and ultimates. So basically they can basic attack and they just have to work their way through it. It's a very, very useful skill. Very, very important for that TikTok challenge. Wonder Woman silences Two-Face, Black Canary, The Question, Red Robin, Boomerang, and Cyborg. Next up is Stun, which is even more powerful than Silence because actions cannot be taken at all. It doesn't just cancel their specials. They're stuck. They're sitting there like a duck. And that's Nightwing, Wonder Woman, Star Sapphire, Two-Face, Cyborg, and Bane that all give a stun. Side note, you guys ever fight against a Bane and they like stun your entire team? And if you ever try to use Bane, you're lucky if you get one stun. I think I had a Bane in Elseworld a couple days ago, and I got 3 stuns one time, and I almost jumped out of my chair. I was really, really excited. Okay, now we have some of the unique status effects. They're not really unique, but they are. They're gold. I'm not sure why they've listed these as gold. Bullet, this is unique to Red Hood. Increases crit damage by 10%, which is basically the same as Frantic, but not, because Frantic is crit rate. This bullet is crit damage. Dealing up a critical hit consumes 1 bullet. Up to 10 bullets can be held at a time. So, does it only give the crit increase by 10%? Let's say he has 8 bullets. Is it 80% increase, or is it just using 1 getting an extra 10%? I'd like someone to clarify that for me, because if it stacks and if you're at 10 and you're getting 100%, you're like doubling your crit damage, that's amazing. But if you're only getting 10% each time, meh, it's all right, but not great. And maybe that's why Red Hood's just okay and not amazing. Invulnerable is held by Superman and Cyborg. This makes the heroes immune to damage, debuffs, and control effects. Super annoying to try and have to wait through Superman's turn with that invulnerable. Cyborg gives it with the shield. I like grabbing in Elseworld that buff where basically all your characters get that Superman ability. Once you drop below 30%, you're invulnerable for a turn. Restore, this is unique to Martian Manhunter. It is different from heal, and it does not trigger heal related effects. You have to read in his kit exactly how that works, but it is like that shared healing that he has. And then Weakness Insight, this is unique to Green Lantern John. Every stack increases damage reduction by 2% up to 10 stacks and lasts until the end of the battle. So I think the reason why these gold ones are gold is they're not a buff. They're not blue because you can't cleanse them, right? We didn't talk about cleanse, and I think they have a different word for it in this game. Dispel. So Dispel is also not on here, but Dispel basically gets rid of either buffs or debuffs. Zatanna and Constantine and Starfire all dispel buffs on the enemy, and Lex Luthor dispels debuffs on your team. So those are all things to consider when you're wondering about building your teams, who does what. I hope that I've laid this all out well for you guys, that you understand all the different status effects. If I missed something, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to share this particular graphic I made in the official Discord. I'll have a link for that down below. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting this channel and being a part of this game. If there's nothing else, I think that's it. Thank you again for watching. Ninja kick that like button, subscribe, of course, for more content, and we'll see you in the next video.